Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Factorio. And in this episode we shall be entering the nuclear age. I have prepared all of the things that we need for our nuclear reactor setup in the last episode, and I am slightly concerned that maybe I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself here, but we are producing sulfuric acid, lots and lots of it. I set up a little storage tank over here near to where we'll be setting up a station. That's going to take the sulfuric acid up to the site of the uranium. And if we're going to get settled down on this area, we should probably go and blast some aliens first, right? Because the... oh, look at this. The pollution, that's the one, is getting closer and closer to them and probably aggravating them. Yes, there are so many things that I need to do now that I think about it. We also got to go grab some lasers because we're going to use those to fight the aliens. I have prepared some capsules, and I thought I had prepared some defender capsules as well. No, apparently I missed that one. Of course, we can request everything from the system over here, so let's make sure we head over there with about 70 of them. And if we bring power from our base, we'll be able to make use of some of these laser turrets. So let's just grab half a stack of those, and we'll be using some blueprints to drop them down and then pick them back up again. And maybe I could chuck down some accumulators to store some energy for those lasers, but right now I just want to get into doing this nuclear power, and we're kind of all prepared. I'll also mention that I'm on my new computer, and if you watch other videos on my channel, you probably know I've had a new computer, and I've sort of recorded a lot of Factorio on the old computer, and this is the first one on the new computer, and the game performed fine on that one. There's probably going to be no difference. However, I have changed recording settings, and it should in theory be at least a little bit better, so hopefully that makes a difference in the video, but yeah, it's probably going to be negligible. Oh, and we are also running very low on copper. Every time I come over here, there's another drill that isn't working. So we need to secure a copper patch. There's something here that we could use temporarily with a belt coming down into the base. Since we're going up into this area and killing some aliens, I think that's what we'll be doing first of all. There's also a massive patch over here and a massive patch of iron as well. Alrighty then, it's time to blast aliens, and since we last did this we've had a couple of upgrades. I think I've got a new shotgun, but my other weapon is the same, but this may end up being our weapon of choice. We do have to keep an eye on what's happening here, and actually I've got a feeling without accumulators this is probably going to be a bad idea. Maybe I should have just thrown down a few to aid us in this. I am looking for the blueprint key, there it is, and we're going to create a blueprint of this. And then well, I should probably rename this, but we're going to put it on our hotbar, which definitely needs some organization. And I'm going to middle click it. That means that that one drops back into the same space. So I've done that with this one here. So when I press Q, it falls back to there, and it is reserved for that slot, as you can see. So this means that we can swap between the two nice and easy. I can grab that. In fact, I think I might even be able to use keys on my keyboard, which I never seem to get used to. No, maybe not. Anyway, so over here we're going to go and place down this thing so it has a connection. We'll do once, we'll do twice, and then we've got to be prepared to get involved. Seems though that the lasers are doing the trick. Okay, that's really good. Now we can advance forward and place one here, and then I should probably get in and help out a little bit, and also pay attention to how my health has now just rapidly disappeared. What happened to my shield? My shield should be fully charged, unless that is my shield and then like a green one is my health. I forget. Those lasers did the job. They destroyed everything. Fantastic. That is really promising to see. What we need to look at now is what kind of performance impact that had on the base. It obviously maximized this, and I'm going to guess the penalty is just that other things in the base slowed down, and probably the lasers didn't get to run at maximum efficiency. So it looks like we'll be able to get away with this. And do you know what? I could do with faster robots at this point, because they could pick those things up quicker, and we will get to that later on. Now there's another nest over there. We're basically going to go do the same thing again, except what I could do is just use one of these, right? Big electric pole to take the couple of gaps that we got to fill, and then here we go, there's one, and then there's number two, and then oh whoa, there's a lot of big things there. Okay, I want to try out the shotgun. Whoa, the shotgun's good. And I also don't want to die. And there we go. I wanted to do a little experiment there and see if I can remember what exactly is going on here. We have green for health, and the purple is my other thing, right? Now, my robots, have I lost any yet? I think I might have lost one, because usually I keep 50, but I think they repair themselves with repair packs. Yeah, look at this. I've got some in my inventory. Those probably just got used up, didn't they? Anyway, let's blast these few away. I should get a little bit closer first. Yikes, I'm really taking some damage there. Nice. You can really see it here. Look, the lasers zap everything away from all the other stuff in our system and push our power to the max. They got really close, the aliens, that time. They actually did some damage to these lasers here, but then in come the robots and they repair them using the repair pack that I got here. So we'll probably see this tick down as I'm playing. Here comes another round. Let's see if they get close. Do you know what? When it's nighttime, we're going to have even less power available. So we're back at the base to pick up some more supplies. And this is kind of a shoddy setup because I don't have substations yet. But I figured we'd throw down 100 of these and they can just stockpile some of that excess energy. Might as well, since we've crafted them all and got them ready for the future. I'm actually going to just put down another slice like that and we're going to fill all of that up. I must also remind myself, one of my goals here is to teach all of you that are watching that haven't really played this game before. I know a lot of you would have seen all this stuff, but accumulators are going to store power. So all of that excess power that we could be creating will now get stored inside of these during the day, and then at night time we can pull on those megawatts or whenever we need the power. So this flatlines our production, and it's not far actually from being filled up all the way. We're about halfway done, and you can see this spike over here is our accumulators, and it doesn't look like we're really affecting anything else that much. They're all sort of running at the same speed as they were before, so I think this thing is friendly to our system, which is good. It's only taking the excess power. Alright, last bunch of aliens for now. I'd like to put down my fallback ones first of all, and then some forward ones. And whoa, hang on a second, I'm recording. I can't get killed. That was real close. And now those lasers are finishing them up. Awesome. I'm glad we got that on camera. Oh no, there's actually like one more little base to go and do. And as you can see, cleared a large area. I also put down a radar in this spot, and I noticed it didn't produce any pollution. So then I went and just left a radar over here. And so scanning the area, we found, you know, big copper and big iron ore patches. And the further out you go in the world, the bigger they get, which is really cool. Yeah, very nearly running out of the big electric poles. I decided what I was going to do was just leave them behind. They might become useful later on. They take time to take down, you know. There's something else that I wanted to show you as well, and that is just the power usage over here. Let's finish these up quickly. Sweet. And if we go into here, can I remember what it was I wanted to show you? Yes, so look at these orange spikes. These are the lasers, and they're coming from the accumulators first, it looks like. And as we go back over time, you can see all of the shooting that I've been doing for the last 20 minutes or so, that looks like. And it's pulling from the accumulators, which is exactly what we want. And we've got a huge accumulator charge, never really dipped into this at all. So we are really well set up for destroying aliens at the moment. Okay, my friends, it is time to get nuclear. And first of all, we're going to need a train to run up to the area up top. So, cool thing that I want to show you can do. If you hold down shift when you place a rail, you create a little thing for your robot to do. You can do the same thing with this setup as well. Just hold down shift. You can even go through stuff, because then the robots are going to remove the stuff that's in the way. Isn't that just superb? Anyway, I'll fly down here. The robots will catch up with me. We're going to link up with this rail over here, and we're going to do something a little bit different from last time. We're still going to stick with the very basic usage of trains, and we're not going to get into any of the signalling yet. But what we had over here was a loop, and the reason we did so is because we only had one train that could go in one direction. So what we're going to do this time is throw down a couple of trains, and I could have swore I put them in my inventory. So all of the things are being brought to me. Hopefully we've got what we need. Over here we're going to need some iron for nuclear reactor later on. Not a lot, just need to always have a bit of iron pumping in there. So I will create a belt at this point that will head up here, and we'll have to load it onto this train. As for fuel, we've got coal here, and there's also this belt of stone in the way, so we'll use a long-handed inserter to insert it across at either end, because we're going to have trains at either end. That's how this works. I clicked on the wrong thing, but it also shows me where in my inventory it is. So we got that, and then we're going to need to move some fluids, which is the sulfuric acid. And did it give me the other one that I requested? I don't think that it did. And there it is. And then a train at the end, which we rotate to face the other direction. So this one will be able to go all the way to a dead end in that direction, and then the other one can pull it back the other way. I just felt like doing that instead of a loop. And now what we've got to do is pump in some sulfuric acid and also load in the iron. Oh yeah, another cool thing, you can also build from the train. So if you're in it building a track, your robots are going to go do the work and follow you along. Let's just build a little bit more line. Yeah, look at that. Wonderful. Alright, I've actually set up this train to go back and forth from the site up the top here and back down again. I think all you have to do is configure it on one of these locomotives. Yes, they're shared because they're connected together. That's great. Up the top here, I've got some tanks. We're going to store some of the sulfuric acid. Over here, we'll have a large supply of that. And the reason that we need sulfuric acid is to mine all of this stuff. I should have some miner drills with me, yep. As you can see, there are pipes going in the back and the sides. So we'll use a layout like we've done before, except it's going to be slightly different. And what we can actually do is just pump it in at one point here, and it's smart, and it will be able to send it down through the sides. So the sulfuric acid is going to go into all of those, and it's going to be used to mine up this uranium. Now what we're going to do a little bit different this time is actually pump these things into passive provider chests, and we're going to use the robots to fish out the right type of uranium. Unless I am missing a step here, I believe these things on occasion will pump out a different type of uranium. No, or maybe it's processing first. It's been a while since I did this. Please forgive me. Ignore me, for I am talking nonsense. It's this bit right here. I want the output of the centrifuges to go into these chests so we can have the logistics robots come and pick up this stuff. Look at how much of a small percent chance there is of getting that, 0.7. So we've got to take the uranium ore that we're getting here, we're going to actually put that onto a belt, and we've got to pump it into these centrifuges, and then they've got to process this, and they're going to create a ton of this other type of stuff that isn't as useful. Now the reason we're going to put them into chests is just because if you use belts and then you eventually use chests anyway, it can back up, it can be a bit annoying. I thought it would be a good idea just to pump it straight into passive provider chests. Anyway, I guess the speed at which we're going to get going here is based on how much mining we're willing to do. And in the beginning, we're going to be willing to do a lot, but we may scale it down over time. So we'll just build a big operation here and get a fair amount of uranium ore going. One of my goals for this series is to make our base look interesting. I have brought with me a whole bunch of materials to try it here, and it just kind of occurred to me this is going to be the first phase where I want to make things look really cool. The nuclear reactor itself is going to get this treatment, but so can the process that comes before it. And I'm not sure if I showed this in the last episode. I'm pretty sure I am. Down here we have our facility for creating these materials. I think what I didn't show is that I added something for walls and then something for gates maybe. But there you go, we've got all these materials processing, and as you can see it's all fired up because I just took a load of materials from it. And some of these I haven't really even seen, and I can't pick that up. No, I'm looking at crafting, what is wrong with me? So I can put this down, in fact I can press minus and plus on the number pad, and I can put it down myself, and I can hold down shift and have the robots put it down. I can hold down shift and right click, and will that get them to take it away? No, I just got to use the deselect tool, right? Yes, and it can select it like that. Okay, so we've seen that first material. I think I've seen this one before as well, so that's okay looking. But this reinforced stuff takes a bit of work to get, and it looks a lot nicer as well. And then we've got this stuff reinforced. Wow, that looks a little bit cleaner, basically, doesn't it? Now, when you walk on these things, they give you a speed boost as well, so you can use them as pathways to get around. But yeah, we're going to use that to decorate the place. I also brought some walls with me as well. I think just putting in the occasional little bit of walls, even though they're not very practical, is also a good idea. So when we're setting up this thing, what I want to do is have a roboport in the middle so that robots will fly from it out to the different areas. And then we'll probably configure our centrifuges in like a circle around this thing. And I'm not sure how many I want to make as well for this process, so I've got to think that through. Anyway, this is all just me goofing around at the moment. We'll come up with something proper. So how is this for a start? It looks a bit ugly with all those blinking signs, but you can kind of see the layout here. I find these textures on the ground actually make it a little tricky with the visibility, but it's looking alright, and I may add some more details in here. I've also run out of materials. I've just kind of decided though, there's two things I want to do with how this looks. One is not worry about compactness and get cool looking layouts, and two is not go for symmetry. I've kind of gone for a symmetrical layout here, and I also did some research for substations which will provide electricity over a much larger area. I've got some down here, and I actually built this layout before I put the substations in. I think it would have been a good idea to have had a grid of these and built this around it, but it turns out that 3 electric poles, or medium ones, will work just fine in the middle, so we can go ahead and connect them up somehow. I don't know where I'll make the connection. So on that note about the substations, I decided to go back to the drawing board and make something much larger. And this substation grid might just feature everywhere, I don't know. As we expand what we're doing here, we're going to connect it up to the same area. We've got gates installed as well to walk through, and I've divided up different areas with different kind of materials. But we are really limited actually, we've only really got 4 or 5 different materials to do. Where are you going? Placing a wall over there. So anyway, this is where the new uranium will be fed in from this side, and we're just going to power this thing up and get it going now. I spent a lot of time doing this, and I imagine as the game progresses I'll probably get a little bit better at this as we sort of establish a style. It's my first time doing aesthetics in this game. Also, I put in some lamps as well. After a while I realised that visibility was really important in here, and I never actually finished placing them all. It'll probably look better if we centre these lamps around what's actually on display. Rather than putting them in the corners here, I'm going to put them in the middle of these areas. So it's night time, the lamps turn on, and this looks really good. We're now going to suck a load of power out of the system, and of course eventually we'll have nuclear power, but I'm going to keep my eye on this. You see, we're taking away from the accumulators, so once they run out of charge our satisfaction is going to drop. I just remembered another little control thing you can do, right? Hold down control on the keyboard and then click on the building and you'll drop in as much of it as you can, because I have stockpiled a load from where I tore down the setup we had after it filled up the belts. So we have a requester chest over here that's requesting the uranium-235, which has an incredibly slim chance. We've actually got one over here. Oh, I know why it hasn't been moved yet. It's because I took the logistics robots out earlier to do some construction, and they're giving me things out of this chest. That makes sense, and look, it's bringing it over here. Right, awesome. Then we'll figure out a way to move that up to this top area, because up here we're going to do the enrichment process, which uses the same material, but things are going to get a lot more complicated here, so I'm going to build it and then explain it. And in the meantime, I also learned something. You can rotate this texture like so. When I was building, I had bits of it looking like this, and I was getting confused, and eventually I realized that you could rotate it, but I think all of this is in the same direction. We will talk about all of this in just a second, but I kind of felt like I needed to show you the building process at this point. Man, the robots are fantastic, but when we speed them up, this will get even more powerful. Alrighty then, down the bottom here, we have removed some centrifuges, as you can see. They drain electricity, and not all of them run at the same time, so it seemed kind of pointless to have extra ones down there. So we've reduced the amount, and that's fine because we're going to get a stupid amount of this uranium-238, and this is probably more than enough to run our reactor. But the key ingredient to the reactor is actually the 235, which we have 12 of. We need 40 of these from this setup in order to be able to start the process up the top here. And this is going to refine some of the 238 very slowly into 235, and that's why we've got a lot of them here, because it's rather slow. And again, we've laid it out for some aesthetic enjoyment. Now this is going to use logistics robots. So over here we have a requester chest which is requesting the 238, and it gets it from down here. In fact, we've got a robot that I think was transporting some to the top area. Yeah, why is it just one? Is there only one robot in the system? Sometimes I take them out when they're annoying me. Let's chuck some in. Yep, okay, so now it's going to go and bring loads up to the top here. You can see some of these are actually empty, but it requests 5 because that's what's needed inside of here. So the ingredients are 40 and then 5 of the 238. Now what's going to happen when it's done its process, it's going to create 41 and then 2. So we're going to suck out that 2 into this chest, and then there'll always be 5, or at least 5 in here, and these inserters will pass it back round and in. Now the same thing is happening on the other side, and here's where we get a little bit cheeky and may run into a problem in the future. We're going to suck out the good stuff that we want, and we're going to put it into a passive provider chest, but then this one is going to yank it out and send it back into the centrifuge. Now the idea is that the inserter is quicker than a robot flying over to pick up this material. However, this one here being in quite close proximity might run into a little bit of problem. This one even more so, and our robots will get upgraded over time, and what we might see happen is they fly out for a second and then they fly back in as some of the product turns up in one of these provider chests and then disappears. So anyway, what's going to happen is it's going to cycle over and over again, and it's slowly going to build up a large amount inside of here, all the way up to 80, I believe. And once it's hit 80 there, and it's backed up so the inserters are holding some, it will start to back up inside of this provider chest, you see. So it's a long process, and there's going to be a lot of AFKing and just trying to help things along here. But once we get 40 of these, we get to put it in here and slowly start the process of producing this stuff. I may have to go fight some aliens over in this area and down here because that's where the clouds of pollution are spreading. So while I'm playing and in the world, we're just going to up the amount of pollution a little bit just to help us over the hump here, because we need more power to get our miner drills working faster, and the electric network at the moment is really ropey because of all those new centrifuges. So we're going to put an additional 4 of these in, and then there's going to be a lot of waiting around as I AFK in the world, getting all of that uranium together. And look at this, we've now got plenty of uranium to get the process going up the top, but you'll notice that I've removed the passive provider chest, and that's because they actually cause an issue. So I may have to rework this system a little bit, but for now we're going to put 40 of them or so into here so we can start the process, and then there's going to be a lot more AFKing in the world, slowly getting more and more of this stuff. Remember, each time we hit 40 we get to run another one of these machines and it can do the refinement process. But that's where we're going to wrap up this episode, so if you enjoyed it then leave a like. As always, thank you for your support, and I'll see you soon in another episode. Bye bye.